Welcome to a very special Indianomics. The default rate at microfinance companies don't seem to be ebbing. That may be part of the reason why the Microfinance SRO, self-regulating organization, MFIN, pushed back its new rules that only 3 loans may be given per borrower. It has been deferred to April 2025 from the earlier deadline of January 1, 2025. To get a 360-degree perspective of the microfinance industry's problems, I have with me today an elite panel. Joining me are Aishwarya Khandelwal, the Associate Director, India Ratings and Research; Chandan Thakur, Deputy Director, Sa-Dhan, which is also a self-regulatory organization of microfinance institutions; Sachin Seth, the Regional MD, India and South Asia at CRIF. CRIF is a credit scoring, much like civil; and Anu Jogesh, a special guest here. She's a PhD doctoral researcher from the London School of Economics and Politics. For the last 6 months, has been touring extensively in rural North India, but more especially, she is an ex-CNBC TV. 18 years ago, she worked with us as our star FMCG reporter. So, gentlemen and Anu, thank you very much for joining me. Chandan, what's the situation on the ground? Do you think December things improved, or they are pretty stressed? Because otherwise, MFIN would not have pushed back the deadline.
So, thanks, Lata. I think Sachin has already mentioned like the number has increased a bit. But I would also like to highlight a bit like why the number has increased. And, in the first quarter itself, a few major regions. One was like, of course, the general election, the climate issues, the unprecedented heat. And one more thing is that I would like to highlight, even post-COVID, we know like the demand in the sector. I mean, the loan has gone up in terms of disbursement and all. But in terms of the employment generation to pay back the loan, that is still not, up to the mark, even in the rural area. So that unemployment or in terms of the repayment capacity is not as much in terms of the pre-COVID era. So that is one of the reason a bit like the number has gone up. However, we are sure in terms of we are really optimistic in terms of the good Kharif season, and some preventive measures has been taken by both the SROs. So things are getting better with every passing day, and we are sure like in the last quarter, like this quarter, in the quarter result will be better in terms of the favorable for the sector, and hopefully from next financial year onwards, we will be back to the normalcy.
Yeah.
So,
no, Chandan, I was going to ask all of you what you all see as the reasons for the issue. Thanks for starting it off. But you are saying that December numbers, by your guess, would be better than the September numbers. Is that your, I mean, I know it's anecdotal, but is that your guess?
it would be more or less same. I mean, September number and December number would be more or less same.
More or less same.
They were like the last quarter, the March figure would be better than,
Okay. So the current quarter you're expecting better. Yeah, I guess we live in that hope. Chandan, what is your sense? Why did MFIN push it back? Would it have been utter chaos if they had stuck to the Jan 1st deadline?
See, we all know that there are stress, there are cases of over leveraging, multiple lending and all. Even we had one meeting with all the CEOs with MFI, and we released the Sankalp guidelines also, wherein we and along with all the MFIs, we have like agreed upon like to follow up. To follow the guidelines in terms of all the due diligence practices, following the household income, following the credit bureau check and all those stuff. And if you are complying with all the guidelines like FOIR of prescribed by the Reserve Bank, the number of lenders will automatically come down. And with new
Lekin rule, why was the rule deferred? Did the microfinance guys come and tell you that there is too much pain at the bottom of the pyramid, so please push back the rule? What was the reason for that deferral?
See, like the amount of disbursement, of course, the disbursement has gone down. So it takes a bit of time to, to restrict with the numbers with 2, 3 or any particular number like that. Because it's a gradual process. So that might be one of the underlying reason.
Is it that in the last, say, post-COVID, when we had a rush of foreign money coming in, PE money, did people overlend? Was there an over-enthusiasm on the part of some microfinance guys? Chandan Thakur, was that the situation? PE paisa tha, bahut aa raha tha, in 21 and all we saw. excellent FDI flows and PE flows, were they a little ambitious or reckless in terms of the expectations of returns?
See, rather like post-COVID, of course, since as I mentioned also, like the demand was quite high, and there were some, disbursement as well that perhaps leads to the, the region of over leveraging on all. But one thing I always feel, and as I mentioned, like the a bit of distress in the rural India,
Okay.
a bit of issue in terms of the income of the people. I mean, in
Okay.
addition to the domestic issue, if you see the external factors, there are many people, Indians who work abroad, particularly a country like Israel and other places. They had to come back. And all those remittance and all. If you see the situation, like one of Bihar is one of the top state in terms of the microfinance. People from Bihar, they have been working in various states. But again, the climate part, we saw in the month of May, there
Okay.
was major
Yeah,
issue.
climate is.
Entire nation was under red alert. The southern India because of heavy rain, eastern India because of cyclone, northern India and western India because of under reeling under
Okay.
severe heat. So all these have affected the the
Okay.
repayment power. But of
Okay.
course, as with all the guidelines, with all the guardrails, with
Yeah.
all the preventive measures, things are looking
On the
better.
mend. Okay.
MFIs are also looking really
Okay.
good.
No, I take your point. I think one of the big takeaways that is coming is that things are peaking in the third quarter and they will stabilize in the fourth quarter. And it'll take only 3 quarters for it to come down. That may be H2 of FI. That is a very important point that I'm taking away. But there are two other factors that I want to discuss. Reserve Bank says that MFI loans should not, the debt servicing should not be more than 50% of the household's income. But how do you assess households' income in places like this? That's one problem. What is the immediate trigger for this cycle of bad loans? Last time we were told demonetization, there was an unusual reason. This one apparently has come in prosperous times because India's GDP itself was 8.2% in FY24. The year before as well, it was over 7%. And it was not as if we had a very severe famine. Yes, we had an El Nino year and excessive heat. But what was the immediate trigger for the rise in defaults?
So, I mean, in addition to a few points that have been discussed, like I feel there are some external factors as well that we can consider. Like we know, since the sector is like we always deal with the vulnerable set of community and the population, the some external factors in terms of a bit of political things like we know there was Karz Mukti Abhiyan, there was a movement in few of the states like primarily it was quite active in the state of Punjab, Rajasthan, Odisha and those parts. So that affected the things.
Okay.
Again, if you see the factor like food inflation and all, it's quite high. So I mean, these are the gradual thing that somehow
Oh,
affected
yes.
the the repayment capacity of the borrowers.
Yeah.
And suddenly, like as we know, like there are in terms of the loan factor at times one avail one loan from the other, and even there are some needy companies and unregulated institutions as well which
Were
who
giving the
lend in
loans.
in disguise of MFIs and all. So that's the reason like we have been taking up with the Reserve Bank as
Yeah.
well as
No,
PFS.
no, I agree with you because that's why Reserve Bank actually tried to give up regulating the sector and told the state governments to regulate because there are a lot of unregulated lending entities. Chandan, I think you have been saying that worst pain is Q3, Q4 it will ebb.
Exactly, Lata. So
Yeah,
I'm sure like
they should.
things should get better. And even day before yesterday, we had a very good meeting with the Secretary DFS, and the entire sector was there. And we requested some of the support from the government, like in terms of the funding part, like the
Are they giving
equity.
you a guarantee? I think you'll ask for a guarantee like.
Exactly. So we asked for the dedicated fund for the MFI, perhaps a credit guarantee mechanism as well,
Okay.
some fund for the northeastern region. So we are really hopeful,
Okay.
with support of the government and the sector will get
All
things will
right.
get better.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for an extremely comprehensive and nuanced discussion on the microfinance sector. We all better understand the problem. We hope the solutions will come. Thanks much for watching this show.